this, I just want to say that it's not exactly easy doing these what ifs, especially when you go off the top of your head. And anytime that you actually do make a script, your fans feel like they don't want to look at the video. So, yeah. I'm about to turn on the music and then we can get into this.
You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
Okay. Now, first off, Izuku, from last time that we saw him, had beaten the crap out of Bakugo and his goons. Now, Bakugo, after, you know, he recovered from the beating, was angered by this. So he decided to train extremely hard. And also, while he was training, he didn't only want to just hurt Izuku. He wanted to take everything from him. Like, the amount of disrespect that Izuku showed him made him that angry. Now, over to Izuku's perception. Now, Izuku's looking at his claws, and he's thinking, if I would have actually hurt him, going through my rage mode, I would have never become a hero. Izuku then realizes that his powers are extremely dangerous. So he decides to go outside and train them. Now by this, I mean it's about 7 o'clock inside of their world. Inside of real life, it's 8 o'clock. Now he goes out and he waits, walking around the bad part of town. And as soon as he goes into an alley, there's about 3 guys that gang up on him. Now, Izuku then proceeded to look back, and the guy said, "Look, you already know the drill. Give me everything that you got. And if you don't, well, I'd hate to see what remains of you." As he then pulls out a gun, and one of the other guys pulls out a knife, and the other guy pulls out another gun. Now, Izuku then says, "So you're gonna stab me, incapacitating me, and then you're gonna begin shooting me, huh? Probably not instantly killing me because I abandoned your directions." The guy then says, "I feel like I should cut you right now to show you some respect." Now, as soon as the guy says this, his eyes then turn, Izuku's eyes then turns red. Now, they're extremely worried about this because right now it's looking like he has a fire quirk. But he then starts walking towards them, which is odd for someone with a fire quirk. So the guys start shooting off rounds. Now, as they start shooting off rounds, Izuku then jumps up onto a wall, pounces onto another wall, and proceeds to jump on top of one guy and then rip off his head. Now, this isn't Izuku per se. This is the wolf. And the difference between a beginning werewolf and a trained werewolf getting angry is that a beginning werewolf can overdo it because of his new hormones, or not exactly new, but increased hormones. So one of the other guys then stabs him, and he then realizes after he stabs him that he's made a goddamn mistake. Cause when he pulled out the knife, he then sees that the blood is black, not red, which obviously means he's not human because this isn't a mutation core, you can tell. By the way, he's not inside of his full werewolf mode, like, with the fur all over his body. He's only sharpening his hands and teeth. Now, the actual half transformation is stronger. Now, Izuku then begins to run towards the person that had the knife, and as soon as the guy stabs him, Izuku just keeps on going. not even getting to pull out the knife. He then gets ripped apart by Izuku. Now, the last guy, quotation marks, wasn't really a guy, because as he looks at the other guy, he then hears a squeal. See, the last person had on a mask because they were smarter than the others and decided to put on a mask so then the cops couldn't trace them. Now, after Izuku was done completely slitting their throat, and I mean completely, I mean all the way until you could see their actual throat type, not just like straight through and then going ahead. Now, this is when Izuku then starts transforming. The girl then backs up and then says, as she as she was getting ready to plead for her life, but she then realizes from the eyes that he's giving her, he's not gonna give mercy. He's at least gonna tear something apart or make her hurt. He looks like he wants to physically let her bleed out. Now, the girl just pleads to make it fast. But then he smiles and then bites the girl. Now, as he bites her, she then begins to scream, begging for him to let go and just slit her throat. But he doesn't let go. Actually, he was getting ready to rip off her arm until the wolf side of her, well, him, realizes that he can have a beta, which means the more members that a wolf pack has, the stronger the alpha actually gets. But this does not give the beta a downside, because the beta can always still kill the alpha as long as it's as trained as him and as strong. Well, not exactly strong, but as tactical. Now, I guess you can say, after he bites her, he then runs away. Now, after he runs away, the girl's screaming out in pain. Now, a bunch of people go and check out what's happening, and they then see a giant bite mark onto her. They realize that it looks like teeth of a canine or a giant cat. But the thing is, they don't live anywhere close to the forest in that area. So that should be impossible. And the mountains are far away, so there's no way it could have been a mountain lion. Especially because a mountain lion wouldn't have let its prey go. Now, we're gonna skip from her point of view. Now, back to Izuku. At this point, he's running, realizing what he's done. And as he's complaining on whether he's gonna go to jail or not, he then sees a woman fly towards him. Now, he's thinking he's hallucinating from just the pure fear that he's having. But then he realizes, no, I wouldn't freak out this much. And he realizes it's the girl that he fucked. And then got cursed right after. So she floats down and she basically tells him the basics about the curse. She says, okay, look, I ain't trying to get another booty call, cause I ain't gonna lie, human dick does not hit like I thought it would. And she says, okay, now one thing is, if you bite someone or stab someone deep enough, they will become like you, but they'll become your betas, which means, well, a lot of people can guess, you would be the leader of them. But if they kill you, they will become the alpha. And then they can infect whoever they want. Another thing about this, I guess you could say, curse is the full moon makes you stronger, but without good control and without training, you will lose control and have the potential to hurt those around. Which means if one of these two moons come, you're fucked. a supermoon or an eclipse happens. The reason that you would be fucked if an eclipse happened is, well, because by the time an eclipse happens, you were to make a few people suspicious, or at least hate you by then, which means that you would basically almost become human if an eclipse happened. Now, I don't know what would happen if a blood moon ever came in, but blood moons aren't common. Now, she then also tells him, listen, you might be faster, stronger, and more durable, but there's one of two things that can compromise you: Wolfsbane and Silver. Silver can hurt you extremely, extremely, as she says. I cannot tell you how much you have to stay away from Silver. So if you keep this inside of your mind, if you keep that and know that you will die if someone ever gets Silver into your body, or at least be hurt, and when you're in that much pain, there's one of two things that can happen. Your beta can either heal you, or you can take it out and wait for it to heal, which it should take a day or two or three, depending on how deep and how much damage it did. Now, after she says this, he then says, "Can I get some head? I mean, I ain't getting no bitches lately, like as you can see." And she then says, "Shut the fuck up, you horny ass bitch," as she floats back up to heaven. Or Olympus, I guess you could say. Olympus, yeah, Olympus. Now, time skip, 10 months later. And he's gotten under control of, well, he's gotten more control over the full moon. Now, on the testing day is the same day that full moon happens. Which is bad, because, yeah. And he then proceeds to, I guess you could say, train more. And by this, I mean he was just doing hundreds of push-ups. And if you did not know, werewolves are strong enough to bend steel. Not exactly slightly. They can't break steel apart like nothing unless a full moon's happening. But normally they can bend steel with a lot of resistance, but it will be able to happen for a normal werewolf. Now, let's get to the training. The entrance exam, my bad. Now, the written test he gets A+ on, because becoming a werewolf doesn't really take your intelligence. Okay, that's the last time I'm gonna listen to that. My apologies, but that's kinda annoying. And right there. My bad if this is kind of bothering me. Anyway, he goes there and he feels that something's familiar, and he can't really pick up on what's familiar, but he does feel something. Now, he then proceeds to, get ready for the fighting exam. Now, as he does, one of the girls comes up to him, and basically he has better looks, because becoming a werewolf and training as much as he did gave him better looks and a better physique, I guess you could say, which means he's just above average, I guess you could say. I don't know why I can't think of words. Now, he's above average in looks. Anyway, one of the girls come up to him and this girl is froppy because all the other girls are just scared. And she looks at him and she says, uh, "You trying to go on a date, ribbit?" And this nigga says, "Bet, just bet." Now I'm not gonna tell you whether this is a froppy ship or not, but you know. Yeah. Now he then proceeds to get ready, and as the presenter then is done talking, he then says, "On your mark, get set. I don't know why I'm telling you to go. The villains won't tell you when to go. Go." Now, as he says that, Izuku's instantly in front of everybody. Now, the reason for this is because a normal werewolf could catch up with a car, almost going full speed. And it's not like they can catch up completely, but they can be pretty close. And the alpha is stronger and more durable than a normal one, unless it's going up against its beta. Now, he then proceeds to run and get in front of Ida, which is weird because Ida has a speed-based quirk. Now, as he's running and running and running, some people then notice that his eyes are completely red, and they then all think inside of their head, that looks like a villain quirk. Now, he jumps towards one of the robots, and he then tears it apart with his claws. And when I say tear apart, I mean he didn't put as much strength as it looked like he did, but the claws went through like butter. If you did not know, werewolf claws can rip through bone like, well, a hot knife to literally anything in the world. Well, a million degree knife to anything in the world. Now, after he tears apart the robot, he then propels himself off of that robot onto another robot. Now, as a robot's a little bit farther, he then jumps up onto a building, jumps to the second one, and then jumps down. As the giant robot then tries to block his attack, he rips off its hands. And by rips off, I mean cuts apart. And he then bites the robot. And people are like, what is that gonna do? Until he starts tearing through the metal and then bites into the electrical wires, which the heroes are getting ready to jump in because this was not a smart move at all. But after he gets shocked, he's dazed, but he isn't dead, which is extremely odd because, first off, that had at least more than a million volts inside of it, and going directly into his teeth near his gums would cause extreme nerve damage that would be able to kill you. And it's extremely close to his brain, which means from the amount of electricity that came off of it, and they could tell that electricity came off of it and actually shocked them because it was showing that it was. Now, after he gets back to normal, he then proceeds to start running and tears apart a bunch of other robots. Now, he then sees Rock get stuck, which he's like, how the fuck did you get stuck? How the fuck? I get not paying attention, but how? As he then starts to run towards her. Now, he notices that he's not as fast as he wants to be. So then he slightly transforms, and he then starts running faster, of course. And as he runs faster and faster and faster, he thinks that he's not going to get there in time. But all of a sudden, he's in front of her, which he's concerned about because he just jumped forward, and now all of a sudden he's in front of her. He then realizes that it was still a full moon that day, which means he's faster and stronger. Which basically means that if a car was running away from him, it really wouldn't be able to get away. And then he would rip through the door and then, kill whoever's in there. Now, anyway, He then grabs Uraraka, going so fast that he cannot stay up on his feet, and then trips and starts falling. Now, he instantly gets back up, getting, well, healing from this immediately. And he tells Uraraka to go somewhere else that is safe. Now he looks up at the, I guess you could say, 0 pointer. And I know I keep on saying I guess you could say because I don't know what to say. Now he then realizes from the amount of strength that he has, it's not gonna work. So he then relinquishes himself to the moon, or releases himself to the moon, basically empowering him. And he didn't pull a Scott McCall and halfway do it. No, he fully released his body towards the moon. Now, as the werewolf him then starts to tear the 0 pointer's feet apart, the 0 pointer kicks him into a building, making the building crumble, giving him minus points. Now, he gets angry at this, and then he roars at him. And it's not like a wolf howl. No, it's more like a demonic ass roar that scares everybody that heard it, which was everyone, cause the roar is loud as fuck. He then jumps onto the robot's leg and then bares his claws inside of the robot as he goes up, circling around it, ripping its legs apart, jumping to its other legs, ripping those apart, then ripping off its arms completely, not just ripping them into pieces. Well, I guess you could say lines. And then as he gets to the center of the robot, he then rips into it and rips apart. I don't know. I keep on saying I guess rips apart a bunch of wires, shocking him multiple times, but with about 1,000 volts, which would daze him for about a few seconds. Now, he then jumps up and punches the robot's head, taking off the entire head. Now, I'm kind of overdoing the strength that a werewolf actually has, but honestly, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Because depending on what type of werewolf, and since he's the first werewolf, I'm going to give him a strength boost like 2 times stronger than normal alpha, which is incredibly strong. Now, he then gets filled up with about 2 million volts, which should kill a normal human. And he then falls down. As he hits the ground, the heroes then jump in, as they see that by the time the smoke clears and they're there, he's not even hurt. Which wasn't true, he was hurt, but when he hit the ground and the dust cloud went around, what they didn't see was him healing. Only mystical stuff should actually like stay on him unless he's evolving or being filled up with wolfsbane or something else is happening. Now, this is where I'm going to leave it off for. If you guys enjoyed, hit the subscribe button and hit the like button if you want to, honestly. And I hope you guys have a good day and don't die. If you do, that's unfortunate. Hopefully you get reincarnated into an anime. I'll see you guys later and have a good day.